Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today as we discuss Cisco's security orchestration, automation, and response platform, SecureX. My name is Brian Ingram, and I run network and cybersecurity for Accudata Systems. I've been in the IT industry for over 20 years now, which makes me old. But my primary focus in 20 plus years of IT has been network engineering and cybersecurity. And after many years on the enterprise side, moved over to Accudata Systems as a consultant, did implementations, and then ultimately moved over to the pre-sale side as a solution architect, and now as the manager for our network and cybersecurity practice. So it's good to see everyone today. That's a little bit about myself, but with me today are three Cisco guys. We have Dave Dasch, we have Seth Judd, and we have Daniel Matthews. And they are going to take us through what they're seeing in the industry right now and why SOAR is important. They're going to introduce us to SecureX, and then they're also going to give us a glimpse into SecureX's capabilities with a demo. So Jacqueline, if you want to advance it to the next slide. Let's talk a little bit about Accudata Systems. Let me kind of introduce you to who we are and what we're about if you don't already know us. So Accudata Systems is an IT solutions integrator. We're headquartered in Houston, Texas. We have offices in Dallas, San Antonio, and Austin as well. We have more than 180 employees based right here in Texas. For 9 consecutive years, the Houston Business Journal has rated us as their top computer network and systems integrator. And for the past 4 years, they've rated us as one of their top cybersecurity firms. So we're very proud of that. For the last 38 years, we have done a lot and seen a lot of success right here in Texas, but Accudata is now also a part of Converge Technology Solutions Corporation. Converge is a national platform of regionally focused IT solution providers in the US and Canada. So what does this mean for us? And what does this mean for you now that Accudata is part of the Converge family? Well, we're still the same Texas-based company. At its core, Accudata is not changing. But the Converge family, being a part of that, gives us the ability to serve customers coast to coast across the U.S. And we are very excited about what we're seeing as being a part of this organization. Now, let's talk a little bit about Accudata's culture. So you can move to the next one. So at Accudata, we care a great deal about our culture, and we believe that this is a primary reason for the success that we've seen over the past almost 4 decades. And I'd like to point out kind of some industry recognition that we're proud of. The first thing I want to point out to you is our Net Promoter Score. Now, even though an 84%, it's in the top right there, right, the NPS score, even though an 84% looks like a solid B, it's really not a solid B. If you know what Net Promoter Score is, then you know that the range is actually -100 to +100. So an 84 is actually a pretty impressive score. Just to give you an idea of how impressive this score is, if we look at the global standard with NPS for excellent service is classified as 50% NPS or greater. World-class service is actually classified as 70% or greater, and we're sitting at 84%. The average NPS score across the entire IT services industry is actually only 24%. So we are very proud of our 84% NPS score. And we're mainly proud of this because the NPS score is primarily focused on customer satisfaction and their willingness, a customer's willingness to recommend us to their peers. And this feeds right into that stat that you see in the bottom right corner, which is our 92% customer retention rate. Now, when we say customer retention rate, internally what we're talking about is Accudata's ability to keep our customers coming back to Accudata year over year for 5 years or more. So we have 92% of our customers coming back to Accudata year over year for 5 years or more. So how do we keep 92% of our customers? Well, three kind of main things, right? One, we have incredible talent in our consultants. 2, like I said, our focus in Accudata is on our culture, and that helps us keep the talent. That helps us keep our consultants. And then 3, we partner with the best technology providers in the industry, like Cisco, who we have here today with us. Now, when it comes to Cisco and our partnership with Cisco, we are a Cisco Gold certified partner. We also carry the master specialization in both collaboration and security. And these 2 designations really set us apart in the industry and show the kind of commitment that we have to Cisco as a partner, and then also to our customers in the services that we provide with our consultants on the Cisco side. Now, if you'll go ahead and advance the slide, we'll take a look at Accudata's approach real quick. So what do we provide for our customers, right? And what's our approach? Well, we believe that we shine in the partnership, and we truly mean that. We're not just looking to sell you product. We're looking to get to know your business and see where we can help you to secure it, where we can help you to modernize it, and where we can help you to grow it. And that's really what we're all about. We take an approach, kind of an agile approach to this, where our agile approach allows us to shift as the market and climates change within business and IT. And really what it means for you, what it results in, are some pretty key things for you and your organization. First of all, we're able to help you control costs by leveraging your existing assets and evaluating your ROI. Second, we're able to help you increase your productivity by accelerating the adoption of technologies and helping you achieve your IT goals. And then third, we're able to help you mitigate risk and ensure that the technology that you're implementing is implemented properly and correctly and also used appropriately. And these 3 things all come together really to help you maintain relevance and maximize the value of IT in your organization. This is what we're looking to do for you through our partnership and through the solutions that we offer and the services that we provide. So if you'll advance the slide, we'll take a look at kind of where do we play, right? Who are our customers? Where do we play? Well, this slide here shows you just kind of a sampling of some of our reference customers. But one thing that I'd like to point out is that you can really see a variety of verticals represented here. So it's not just one area that Accudata focuses in. If you look at this list, I mean, you can see the verticals, oil and gas and energy, legal, healthcare, retail. We've really seen success across pretty much any vertical out there, and that's how we like it, right? We want to be as agile as we can to serve as many different customers in as many different verticals as possible. And we would love to partner with you and see how we can really help you achieve your IT goals. So that's kind of why Accudata. But let's advance the slide and let's just take a look real quick at why Cisco. And really, when it comes to our conversation today, why Cisco security, right? So Cisco is Accudata's top partner relationship for many reasons. It's our primary partner relationship, and there are many reasons. But when it comes to security, it really boils down to the platform. Now, at Accudata, you will always hear us preach platform security, right? Investing in technologies that integrate together and give you greater visibility and control across your network. And that's what you really get with the Cisco Security Platform. The Cisco Security Platform is comprised of a suite of technologies that protect your business at the network edge, in the data center, on the endpoint, or in the cloud. And all of these technologies are backed by Talos, which is Cisco's threat research organization. And I'm probably stepping on the Cisco guys' toes a little bit because I know, we don't do a Cisco presentation without Talos, right? But I want to point that out as well, right? That's the threat intelligence that's behind Cisco security, right? And really their entire platform. Now, Cisco has layered in SecureX, which is their SOAR platform, right? Security, orchestration, automation, and response. And this platform gives you full visibility across all of your Cisco security technologies, and it enables you to easily take action where needed. And to be honest with you, one of my favorite parts of this is if you are a Cisco security customer, then you have it, right? You have access to it. It's free to you as part of being a Cisco security customer. So I'm excited to dive in. That was kind of a little bit about Accudata, a little bit about why we focus on Cisco. We're glad that you're here. I'm excited to dive in and see a little more on SecureX. So Dave, I'm going to pass it over to you so that you can get started on kind of taking us through the Cisco portion.
Brian, awesome job setting up the topic and getting us kicked off. Really appreciate that. As Brian mentioned, my name is David Dasch, and I am the director of the Americas Security Channels organization here at Cisco. And I'm certainly delighted to be partnered with Accudata today to bring you what I think is going to be a pretty exciting message and a look at the platform that we've been developing for some time. After spending about 20 years selling security technologies, I'm really excited to move into our partner organization, which is a new role for me, quite honestly, to really get the word out, because I think we're finally starting to make the impact that customers expect from their security vendors. It's been far too long, and I'm excited to I think bring that to a little bit of an end. So we're going to talk a little bit about the challenges companies are facing today, and frankly how we got here. And when you look at this slide, many of the challenges that these products and companies are trying to address are the reason I jumped into the cybersecurity industry about 25 years ago, when I joined a little small startup called Internet Security Systems back in the mid-90s. And back then, it was, if there was a new risk, you built a new product. If another risk came up, you built another product. So it was pretty interesting. And we saw an opportunity back then to develop software that could proactively identify vulnerabilities, first on the network, scanning the network and looking at network services. And then we thought, well, can we look at the devices on the network and the servers and look at the operating systems? Because across network services and operating systems, clearly there are a lot of vulnerabilities. And back in the 90s, what were hackers doing? Trying to take advantage of those vulnerabilities to do what? To face a website. And I think things have changed in the last 20 or 25 years, but that's what it was mostly about. The idea of proactively scanning and finding and fixing vulnerabilities led to the creation of more products. If we knew there were vulnerabilities, can we create a product that could identify a potential exploit attempt or attack against those vulnerabilities? And with that, I think we saw the birth of intrusion detection, but that wasn't enough. So if we could see attack and alert on it, why can't we stop the attack or even block it? So guess what happened? More products were created. And with that, we saw an explosion in the birth of hundreds and thousands of companies trying to help you solve problems. I'm not sure we made huge advancements in helping you solve problems, because I think we brought complexity to that situation, right? So you might give us an A+ for trying, but probably a C+ when it comes to addressing complexity. So we spent a tremendous amount of time listening to the CIO community and the CISO community out there about all the challenges they're confronted with. And they've made it very clear to us that they need help. They need a return on their investment that's more immediate. They're looking to potentially reduce the number of vendors in their environment. Some are even considering moving to an anchor vendor approach, which, if you think about it, can I select a primary vendor by which to build my security practice around? Having fewer vendors might reduce some of the complexity, but can we meet all of the security requirements were some of the questions that still were unanswered. And then where's the intersection of best of breed and security effectiveness, right? So now that's being discussed among the CISO community. We also know that there are challenges that require a balance between all of the transformations that are going on with companies like digitization and the balance with how much security to spend and how to secure it. Current pandemic certainly hasn't made it easy. Everyone was pushed home at a rapid pace, so we've got to secure the remote worker. Our network perimeter has dissolved. We've got applications and services that need to be reached no matter where our employees are, often trying to go to a cloud perhaps versus back into the data center. Threats and attacks continue to increase. We've got a very dynamic threat spectrum still today, and the amount of money companies are spending is probably 2.5 times what it's been in recent years. And what we heard was something's got to change, something's got to give. So if we can go to the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about what we've been doing to help our customers out. We've been carefully building out an architecture and developing a platform that has automation and simplicity in mind. We knew we needed a comprehensive approach. We knew we needed to give customers the confidence to implement something that they haven't really done in the past. Simple to manage, automation, without losing context of what's going on in the environment were a couple of the key results that we were striving to reach. And we believe we can give customers today the reason to move away from those 30 or 40 or 50 plus security vendor strategies that many have implemented. For years, we've been investing in early stage startups to make sure that we remain leading edge with our technology. We've created the ability for our technology alliance partners to continue to contribute to our open platform and develop more integrations with us. We recognize the importance of our partnerships, not just for a comprehensive approach, but for reach as well. And through some of the acquisitions, we've been able to not only acquire, but develop some of the most comprehensive threat intelligence in the industry next to the US government. So if we go to the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about the journey we've been on. It's been about 13 years. Since 2007, we've done a lot of internal innovation. We've acquired some of the best of breed solutions out there in the market. Some of you may remember Ironport, which was our entree into web and email security. Over time, we've acquired Meraki, SourceFire, a very important and market-leading next-gen IPS solution that also came with very significant malware protection capability. We acquired OpenDNS, which is now the platform for our umbrella and cloud security platform. Landco for network visibility and anomaly detection, CloudLock, App Dynamics, and most recently Duo to round out our zero trust strategy. In the last 6 years alone, we've invested over $6 billion. And if you go back to 2007, that number is more than double. So it certainly helps to have some deep pockets to do so. We've been able to acquire and develop the expertise to make this work together. And I'm really excited for what you guys are all going to be able to see today. So as a result, we've been able to really develop more integrations than any other vendor. And we've created an open platform that covers the entire threat spectrum out there for you. So I'm going to turn this over to Seth Judd, who's one of our cybersecurity specialists and another industry veteran of about 25 years, to introduce you to SecureX, which is our cloud-native built-in platform experience that Brian alluded to. And it really connects our portfolio and your infrastructure so that you have a consistent front-end experience. And I can't wait for you to see some of the value because I think it'll be realized across your NetOps teams, your SecOps teams, your IT ops teams. So with that, Seth, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, David. I appreciate the intro. And Brian and Accudata, thanks for hosting us today. I really appreciate that. I'm just going to take a minute or two to walk through the easy part of this presentation because we all want to get to the demo side with the illustrious Daniel Matthews. So first and foremost, I'm going to give you a couple of key points to remember about SecureX. Again, I do think we at Cisco approach this issue diligently through the eyes of a CISO or counterparts in the security group itself. We wanted to create the broadest, most integrated in the industry product to consolidate that information and help us automate some response time for policy enforcement. And I think we've actually done it. Dave inferred that I've been around a long time. That's true. I've got to see the cuts and bruises from the industry from day one. We've always looked for that centralized management console that we can go to for answers and questions and being able to resolve issues from, one spot. And gosh darn it, we finally did it. I'm really excited about what we're doing with SecureX, and I'm really excited for all of you to see the demo today. One of the key things for us, though, is SecureX had to unify your entire security ecosystem in one location for visibility, but more importantly, for maximum operational efficiency. All of us that have sat behind that desk in the SOC at 2 a.m. on a Saturday and watched the world blow up, we wanted one place to go look for, and today at Cisco, we've done that. I'd love to hear, Brian, that you mentioned Talos, because you're right. Nobody at Cisco can give a presentation, or we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Talos. And if you haven't had the opportunity to really get involved with Talos yet at Cisco, please reach out to Brian or myself. Let's get you on the docket to go see a virtual tour of our SOC for Talos. They're incredible people, and we're very fortunate to have them. And it's a great team to get involved with. And Daniel, I hope I've taken enough time to walk through the process, and I didn't steal anything that you'll need to share with these guys. But are you ready for us?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Thanks for that, and again, I appreciate everybody's time being here today, and for Accudata having us to be able to just kind of showcase this a little bit. And as David mentioned, with SecureX, one of the biggest things is simplicity, reducing, especially when it comes to security, the time it takes to detect something in the environment and the time it takes to actually act on that. So as Seth was talking about, as far as the SecureX platform itself, right, this is it. It's completely cloud-based. It doesn't require any sort of physical appliance or anything installed in your environment. And as Seth was alluding to, it's really kind of a single place where you can go to be able to see all the products integrated into it. So as you can see here, we've got some of the different modules that are integrated here on the screen. And the first thing of all, right off the bat, is that we can customize this the way you want it to look. I'll walk you through real quick, just as an overview. All right, we've got the different the modules here that show me information from AMP for endpoints, from my WSA or my web security appliance, an umbrella. On the right-hand side, I've got a news feed that shows everything from things specific to SecureX itself. If I scroll down the page, we can see things from Talos Intelligence, right, our threat intelligence group, and we can even see things around for CERT and security announcements and things that may be relevant to you. If you don't want to see that all the time, that's fine. Again, I can customize this. I can move this out of my view and expand this. Over here on the left-hand side, we see the integrations, right? We see integrations currently that I have into the environment so that I can see what's going on. And we're doing all this via API. So as I scroll down here, I see AMP for endpoints. I see email security appliance. I see firepower. But as you see me scrolling down here, you'll start to notice some things that aren't necessarily Cisco, right? Here I see Gigamon threat insight. I see virus total, things that are already integrated. And if I continue to scroll down, I'll see some of the available integrations like David talked about, right? We have a lot of partnerships. We have a lot of alliance partners that we worked with over the years. And we have their products integrated in it just really to make your job easier. Because if it's able to be manipulated via an API, chances are we can integrate into the SecureX platform. And even down here, if we keep going, we see Radware, which David talked about. And we've even got capability to do ServiceNow, right? To do automation and orchestration into a ticketing environment if you've got ServiceNow. So that's really good to see. But again, maybe when I'm looking at this, if I've got this up in a NOC or a SOC and I want to see everything that's going on, I want to make sure that what's top of mind, which are these integration and these modules and the data that's coming from them. So I can do this if I want, expand that out. And maybe some of these are more important to me than others. So maybe, for example, I want to bring up the web security appliance, and maybe I want to move this particular module up here. Maybe this is extremely important to me, so much so that I want to expand this out. I can do that here as well. So again, it's all about customization. If you'll notice here at the top, this particular tab I'm on, this particular dashboard is called SecOps, but I also created another one called Umbrella, because I want to see specifically what's going on within my organization around Umbrella. And if I take a look at this as well, right, some of the data that I've got, I can customize this here. I'm currently looking at the last 30 days. I can do this from the last 7 days or just the last 24 hours. And if I'm back over here on this one and I want to look at everything over a certain period of time, and I don't want to have to go into each one of these modules and adjust that timing, I can actually do that right up here and say, okay, I want everything to show me, the last 30 days or maybe the last 60 days, right? And as long as that particular product has that capability to go back that far or has data that far, it can display that here. So that's really important. Another important thing just to point out along with these integrations is something you see here at the bottom called the ribbon. So the ribbon is pretty cool for a number of reasons, right? Again, the idea is to be able to be in this single dashboard and be able to respond to a threat and manipulate things within the environment. So if I expand this out, for example, and I have this particular incident that's come up, and I want to see, okay, where did this come from? When did this come in? I can see this came in, the date and the time that this came in. I can see this came from my next-gen firewall. From this, I have these, okay, what were the observables that I found in my environment? What were the things that were, indications that maybe something was wrong or something had maybe gotten into my environment from a malicious standpoint? So I click here, I see these IP addresses, I see this URL, which by the way is marked as suspicious. I see a couple of other IP addresses here. So what can I do from here? Well, before I do that, one thing I want to show you is not only do I see this here, but just to show you the ribbon capabilities, if I go over here into my Umbrella dashboard, you see the ribbon is still here. It follows me and it's on the same screen. Same thing if I go here and I expand this out, I have that ribbon, it's followed me, it's still there. So what I wanted to show you here though is some of the capabilities through the orchestration and the automation is I can click on this down arrow for this particular URL. And if I scroll down here to the bottom, or actually throughout this, I can take action on this. I can submit this URL to ThreatGrid, which is our sandbox, to see exactly what's going on that website and what type of malicious objects may be on there. If I continue to scroll down, I can say, okay, well, it's a suspicious domain, but because it's suspicious, until I find out more about it, I want to block this in my environment. Well, rather than going over to the Umbrella dashboard that I just showed you a moment ago, I can actually block it from here without even logging into the Umbrella dashboard. And there it is, success, it's been blocked. So that's great. So while that's doing that, I'm gonna continue my investigation. I can do that right here. I can click on investigate. I can select all of these observables that I found earlier, and I can click investigate selected. What that's gonna do is it's gonna open up this new tab, which is SecureX Threat Response, which allows me to dive a little deeper and really answer the question is, hey, am I impacted by this in my environment? So we see here, first of all, just to indicate, we see some different indicators of compromise. We see some hosts in my environment. But the key thing to point out here is where you see this blue magnifying glass, this is what I actually searched for. But by searching this, we're actually making connections within our environment and able to see, okay, well, we saw these endpoints actually reach out to this IP and reach out to this URL. And what we also saw tied to that is this particular file. So through our secure endpoint solution, we were able to get a SHA-256 hash, which is basically a digital fingerprint of this file that actually came from this same website that we think is suspicious. So I'm going to say, you know what, this is interesting. I want to see more about this. I'm going to click on add this to my investigation. And this is going to take just a minute, but you're going to see this populate over the next 30 to 60 seconds here. And what it's going to do is it's going to continue searching through that data in my environment and say, okay, well, where else have we seen this? What are some of the other, connections within the environment? And if you zoom in a little bit here, I can actually see this came in through an email. because I have my email security appliance integrated. So I can see information about the email. If I scroll down, I can see the email address, I can see the sender that this came in. So it starts to draw a clearer picture of exactly what occurred, and allows me to be able to respond to that accordingly. And again, if I want to, I can go back up to this URL up here, and I can click on this. And again, I can take actions from here, just like I did on the last screen. I can block this domain, I can unblock this domain, I can submit it to ThreatGrid, our sandbox, et cetera, to be able to do that. The other thing I wanted to point out, let's move this ribbon out of the way for just a moment, is, right, we talked about automation and orchestration. So the orchestration piece of this, let me get out of my screen here. So the orchestration piece of this is here. So what this allows me to do is set up actual workflows and automated tasks within my environment. And I admit I'm not an expert programmer. I've done a little programming. Not all of us, have an expert programmer on staff. And the great thing is you don't have to have that in your environment to be able to build out these workflows. So if you look over here on the left-hand side, it's basically a drag and drop type of interface, so that I'm pulling these actions into the middle. They're called atomic actions. I can build these out in the middle, and on the right-hand side, I can just fill out information that's necessary in order to make these work, and set them up to happen on a recurring basis, to actually look at what's going on and look at all that data coming in my environment, so we can be protected and we can quickly respond and reduce that, the dwell time in my environment, and reduce that time to detection. So as I'm looking through here on the left-hand side, what are some of the things that we can build into this, right? We've got Amazon Web Services, we've got Cisco Threat Response, a lot of Cisco products, Google Cloud Platform, and even down here with the web service, which is one of the ones that I use most often if I'm building things out. I just drag and drop it over here, and with these I can do pretty much any API call I want to into the environment. And once I set this up, I can then run this, I can test it out, make sure that it works, and then I can set it up again to have a schedule on a recurring basis. Some of the other things that we can do with this, right? If I want to look in my environment and say, hey, I know I have, I've got secure endpoint in my environment, and I want to know that, hey, are my browsers up to the latest? Because I found out yesterday there was a 0-day related to, let's say, Firefox. So I want to look and see if there's a CVE, or I know the CVE number rather, and I want to see if I have workstations in my environment or servers in my environment that are impacted by this. So I can do that in an automated fashion, and I can kick that off to occur, every hour, every 2 hours, or every 8 hours, right? And making sure that, okay, if I do find a system in my environment that is impacted by that CVE, I can go through automated task and go through secure endpoint, and I can isolate that host until we can actually remediate that. So that's extremely important as well. And then another thing that I wanted to point out as well is, you saw me over here, I pulled up the ribbon and I had that information. But let's just say, for example, I want to do kind of a search in my environment. Something that we're all very familiar with is the SolarWinds supply chain attack. So I brought that up here. This specifically is the Talos article around that, our threat research organization. It's a great place to be able to go and get insight and information about different types of attacks that we do a lot of research into. So not only are we talking about what it is and impacts and things like that, but if we continue to scroll down, you find out, hey, am I protected? What security solutions, Cisco security solutions are protecting me from this? But I can also find the list of what we call indications of compromise, or indications that maybe our environment has been impacted by this. Well, if I want to know if my environment is impacted, I've mentioned SecureX Threat Response that we did the search in earlier, but we've got a browser plugin for SecureX. So I can click on that here. And as you'll see when it pops up, once again, I've got the same screen that I was looking at down at the ribbon, showing the same incident that I was looking at earlier. But if I click right here, I can actually scrape the page that I'm on, the web page that I'm on. It's actually going to look at all these things on the page. Granted, yeah, there was paragraphs of information about what the SolarWinds attack was, but it parses through all that and pulls out the pertinent information such as URLs, SHA-256 hashes, and IP addresses and things like that. And what I can do from here, if I want to, is one, I could click on this, and once again, I can click on something here and say block this domain. Once again, doing this in Umbrella without even having to go through the Umbrella dashboard. But I can also go right here and say, you know what, I see all these malicious URLs. I want to know if they're in my environment. So I'm going to click on this, and I can click right here and go investigate and threat response, and it would take me right back over here into threat response, and it would do a search for those specific IP addresses, URLs, and SHA-256 hashes, et cetera, and it would draw out that map once again. So very useful tool. And as was mentioned earlier, right, the great thing about it is if you have a Cisco security product, then you already have access to this. It's completely free. And if you don't have one, all it takes is one Cisco security product to get access to SecureX and have it available to you. And of course, the more Cisco security products that you have, the more intelligence you're going to have at your fingertips in this single dashboard. So extremely useful and helping again to really reduce that dwell time in your environment for something malicious and reduce that time to detection. So with that, that's pretty much all I had for the demo. If you guys want to go into a deeper dive on this later on, of course, please reach out to Accudata, to your resource at Accudata, and of course, if they need us, we can help as well for Cisco, and they can get you more information about this and how you can take advantage and use SecureX.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. That was great. So, guys, we've already got some questions that have come in, but let me just tell everybody, if you haven't seen it, there's kind of a Q&A section there, you know, in WebEx where you can submit your question. If you have a question, you know, we've got some time here. Feel free to throw a question in there. We'll see if we can get it answered. If we can't get it answered today, then we'll definitely set up a time, you know, to cover it with you in the future. But definitely ask your questions. But Daniel, let me go ahead and look through, pull out some questions here that we can tackle. I'm going to group some questions together here. One of the questions we got was really around the ease of use, right? Which you just pointed out, right? How easy this actually is to use, and you don't have to be a programmer, right, to be able to use it. I'm not a programmer, and I've gotten in there and built workflows, you know, kind of like you were saying.
Right.
The question really is, are there some canned workflows that out of the box you can take advantage of? And I know the answer is yes, especially, you know, I've seen quite a few around, you know, response to phishing attempts through, you know, that CES has caught, you know, and that kind of thing. But can you maybe dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there's lots of, you know, as you mentioned, right, you can build your own, but there's a ton that are, that you can, you know, that you can utilize that are already built in. One of the ones that I like to showcase as well is, you know, I mentioned the sandbox for ThreatGrid, right? And if you've got that URL and you submit that URL to ThreatGrid, one of the pre-built ones that we have in there is you can actually submit that to ThreatGrid. And then once it has the result, it'll actually notify you in WebEx Teams, and it'll send you the links that you can go back and be able to see exactly what that URL contained, right? And you know, what did it do and how did it interact with that sandbox machine. Another recent feature that we've added too is the ability to trigger emails. So we have the capability to build out a workflow that's looking at or look at emails rather. So if an email comes in, it may be you know, suspicious or something like that, right? Especially as you mentioned, right, with the phishing piece, very pertinent because, right, we have a lot of customers that, you know, unfortunately get compromised due to email, right? Whether it's an attachment, whether it's a URL, and we see that at this time of year, especially more than ever when it's tax time. You know, here in Texas, unfortunately, where we had, you know, quite a bit of an incident with weather, and been dealing with that, and unfortunately, just people taking advantage of that as well. So those types of things are things that are already included into it, and as you mentioned, along with being able to create some yourself as well.
Awesome, thank you. We had another one come in. and I'm just going to read this to you. He's asking, he says, we're about to upgrade from ASA 5525 to, the firepower appliances, the 1150s with firepower. He says, will SecureX be available to us once we make the upgrade? So my short answer is yes. I'd like for you guys to confirm that, but yes, that's the case. You have Cisco firepower. You're a Cisco security customer. Yes, you have access to that. But you want to back me up on that, just to make sure I'm not lying?
Yeah, I can back you up on that. Yeah, absolutely. And through a product we have, this Cisco Security Services Exchange. Basically, it's something you set up to be able to integrate things like firepower, ASA email security, the security management appliance, to be able to do that. And once you have that configured, it'll automatically feed that data right into your SecureX dashboard. Exactly. And then you can respond accordingly, and of course, set up your dashboard accordingly to see that information.
Awesome. Let's see. So I'm kind of grouping a couple together here, but there's a question that really gets to kind of the heart of how quickly how SecureX increases how quickly you can respond to threats and to issues and events, and cuts down the time that it takes really to go to multiple tools and all that, right? You were showing us the ribbon and how all of that is tied together. The question really comes down to do you see this as something that would help from an FTE standpoint, whereas managing multiple products and digging through logs and all of this stuff, right, for a broad portfolio of products might take several FTEs, and some of our customers, their staff's just not staffed up for that, right? They're just not big enough to be able to handle that. So if they look at really implementing SecureX and configuring these workflows and automation and everything, is this something that could help them reduce the FTE requirements that they have?
Yeah.
And I would again say the answer is yes, but I'll let you kind of jump into that too.
Yeah, Brian, no, that's completely correct. And I mean, that's something that we see a lot of customers, where they're really happy with this and see the advantage of it as well, right? Obviously, FTE staffing is not, is something that has to be considered. Having the talent, right, to be able to find the talent. You may have that one guy that's really sharp with things, but it'd be nice if you had a whole team of 4 or 5 folks that could actually help. And so having something like this, to be able to decrease the time, I think on average we're talking 80-85% reduction in the time spent. Right, because I mean, I come from a background. I've been at Cisco for 5 years now, but prior to that, I was in, worked for I was on the customer side basically, and for Cisco, and having to go through and do a security investigation, like you mentioned, right? The time that it takes me to go out and see, even what I was showing you earlier with the domain and IP address, I've got to go out to the Aaron site and find out who owns that IP, go out to do a domain whois and do a search on that, right? And all the different things that go to that. And then, okay, now I've got to go try to hunt down, well, which devices in my environment were impacted. Well, if I don't have the visibility into that, how do I even know? And that's where something like Secure Endpoint comes into play. So absolutely, it's something that can save big time, and especially from the automation pieces I told you earlier, right? You can have a process that's basically an automated task that's running in the background every 2 hours or every day to be able to take a look at something, whereas that would have been a manual process that maybe someone in a help desk or on the desktop support team would have had to do before to go in and check something and make sure all the workstations are up to date. Well, now you've got a tool that can do that for you.
Yeah,
Brian,
I'd like
can
to
send
just,
reports
I'd like
from that
to
as
add,
well. So.
yeah, I'd like to just simply add, there's, it's not really something that we created to constrain the FTE requirement. Think about it as doing a lot of the heavy lifting to make your security staff more effective on doing their day job, right?
Yep.
So there's a big difference, right? We can do the heavy lifting and really point those resources to be more effective and more efficient doing their job, which has also helped focus the company on the transitions and moving forward, right? So yeah, I would concur very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. That's we're right up here at the kind of the end of our time. So we're just going to go ahead and wrap up. Any of the other questions that came in, I'll be sure to follow up with you directly. We would love, as Accudata, we would love to have conversations with you around SecureX. And, just so you know, even though this tool, Dan demonstrated, the ease of use here. If you're looking at this and you're kind of overwhelmed by it or wondering like, well, where do I start, right? Where's a good place to get into this? We can help you with that, right? We've got our solution architects that can help kind of drive that for you, and then also our consultants that can help you really get this set up and configured in your environment. We would love to have a conversation with you around that. So hope you all are safe and healthy. We thank you for joining us today. And Cisco guys, great job. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you all soon and getting to talk to you more about Cisco security. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.